Morning. Hello and welcome everyone. This is Jasmine here from 4th Dimension Technologies. First of all, thank you so much for joining us today. This webinar is for users of Exchange 2007. You may be aware that Microsoft has announced the end of support for Exchange 2007. And this webinar addresses the possible option for users of Exchange 2007. The presenters for today's webinar are Mr. Swarnadeep and Ms. Arthi. They will present on Exchange features with a live demo, followed by security features and how to migrate Exchange 2007 to Exchange Online. And a small note to the participants, if you have any doubts or queries regarding the session, you are free to post in the chat box, which is present left corner of your screen, so that our presenters can attend your queries at the end of this session. Now I request Mr. Swarnadeep to take up the session, and Mr. Swarnadeep, please do take control of the slides. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning, Jasmine. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, and welcome to the session. So I would be presenting from my screen here because it would be much faster in terms of latency. So I'll share my screen in a moment. As soon as you are able to see my screen, just if somebody can just indicate that in the chat box, or Jasmine, if you can just let me know.
Yeah, sure, I'll do that.
Yeah. Is my screen on?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to talk. So as Jasmine said, that 2007 is a software that would not be in Microsoft's list of softwares which would be eligible for updates and support and everything. And it's a technology that has gone. It's at least a decade old now. So while we consider different options of upgrading our emailing solutions, Exchange Online, at least for an emailing solution, becomes the most obvious way to look into, because of the numerous advantages that it allows us to have. In this particular session, I would try to go into as much depth as possible to give you an understanding of what Exchange Online brings to you, in terms of both technology and in terms of finances and in terms of the administrators and manageability of the different mailboxes and the Exchange settings. So while our viewers are very much well versed with 2007, you would see that most of the modern day technologies and the security protections that our email services need in today's world is completely covered with Exchange Online, and in terms of the implementation and manageability, it is fairly easy. So this is the intent of it, and then finally we'll touch upon the different methods of migration available from on-premise environments to Exchange Online. So I'll just quickly start. So as an introduction, it's a secure and reliable business class email with 50 GB mailbox per user. So that's just a tagline that I wanted to bring out because it brings out the real essence of it. It's a business class emailing solution. That means it's something that you can really rely on. It's totally enterprise level. And a 50 GB mailbox per user is the minimum. The Exchange has many plans. I will explain in a while. But this is the minimum every single user of your company will get. And a 50 GB mailbox is the largest mailbox that any online, web-based, hosted Exchange or mailing solution provides in any of our competitors. And of the many different advantages, the ones that could bring up really important is that you remain in control. As an administrator of the company, you can tailor your solutions and you can give different kind of rights to different people basis their ranks, basis their designation, and you can have a lot of capability on what are they writing in the email and what is going out of your company with your emails. In fact, as an administrator, you will see during the demo that you can even control the very text that is written in the email. Depending on the text, you can put rules on your emails. In terms of device, the biggest advantage that you would immediately notice, especially if you're coming out of 2007 environment, is that Exchange Online is extremely device friendly. in today's world, it is very difficult to imagine that our employees would be just coming to office and opening their emails. People are bringing in their own device. BYOD is happening. Bring your own device, and mostly you would have to respect the fact that as an administrator, you cannot really take full control of a person's personal mobile while the person is still using his personal mobile, and still you would want them to use your corporate inbox in their mobiles. So for those kind of things and device portability, Exchange Online just stands out because it's using a protocol which is called MAPI, which is a very cloud-friendly and device-friendly protocol. And it's totally unlike POP, which we know is very device-dependent protocol. And it's completely friendly. Obviously, it's a Windows Microsoft base, so it totally sits well with Windows, but it is completely compatible with iOS and Android. And in terms of protection, Exchange Online was built with protection in its mind from day one, because it was understood that when people are trying to move their entire mailboxes to a server that they can't see, they don't even know where it is very important to give them this trust that the emails are totally secured. And the amount of technology that is going behind Exchange to make the emails secured and free from spam and the various other forms of attacks. The technology being used is at the forefront of technology. We're using artificial intelligence databases that Microsoft has to protect every single Exchange Online user. So we'll touch upon that in a short while. So in terms of plans, Exchange Online, it is a subscription based. You understand that Exchange Online means you do not have a server in your on-premise at all. You do not buy any server licenses. This is a subscription based, so that you can buy, if you have 100 users in your company, you would probably buy 100 Exchange Online subscriptions, Exchange Online licenses. So each license would be for one user. So there are two ways in which you can take Exchange Online primarily, Exchange Plan 1 and Plan 2. So as you can see, the large mailbox sizes, 50 GB and 100 GB. But as you can see that Plan 1 and Plan 2 are similar in various other features. But this is not the end of it, because due to the lack of space and visibility in a presentation, I limited it to these. But I would just open this link and straight away go to the official page and show you the different features, not word by word, but definitely just to give you a feeling, because that would set the right conditions for taking it ahead. Okay, so we'll talk about the pricing. We'll understand this a little later, but let's look at the features here. A large mailbox. So Exchange Plan 1 is giving you a 50 GB mailbox, and you can send messages with up to, which are 150 MB in size. This is also the largest in the market, as I know today. But if you see Exchange Online, it's giving you a 100 GB mailbox. Okay, and obviously Exchange Online can be taken as a standalone exchange, or it can be taken as a part of Office 365 subscriptions. So we'll explain that later. Outlook support, since your customers are in 2007, they would be used to Outlook, and Exchange Online can be totally configured with Outlook without any trouble at all. It's completely friendly with lots of versions of Outlook. But the advantage lies in the fact that it's not just Outlook. Exchange Online can be accessed simply out of a web browser, much like any popular email solutions that we see using the web browser. So Outlook Web Access OWA is available. But out of the few things in terms of security, this is very important to know that every mailbox is protected with a premier anti-malware and anti-spam protection called as Exchange Online Protection. So Exchange Online Protection is a very sophisticated software that is designed pretty much to protect email addresses and your email mailboxes from various spam and threat kind of situations, and also seeing that your inbox is not flooded from unsolicited and dangerous IP addresses. But Exchange Online Protection is actually something you can buy in Microsoft. It's a service in itself. But with Exchange Online, Microsoft is just shipping this particular protection plan with even the lowest version of Exchange, which is Plan 1. So it's a thing that you just get out of the box. In-place archive, keep your inbox clean by automatically moving old messages to in-place archive. I'm sure that Exchange users will not be new to this kind of approach. but we have large size archiving folders. So when I say large size, let's see this difference here once, and then I'll move back to the presentation. Exchange Online Plan 2. So take advantage of unlimited storage, 100 GB of storage in the user's primary mailbox, plus unlimited storage in the user's archive, in-place archive. So this is absolutely a power that your users can be given to with a simple with an Exchange Online plan. Just the primary mailbox being 100 GB, but if you say if you set an archiving rule that emails after 2 years should automatically leave the inbox and go to the archiving, because you want to keep your inbox lightweight and easy, so that searching emails are easier. And but when you take them to the archiving folder, every single user is given the capability of having an unlimited size of archiving. So that means you literally have unlimited email storage. To have that kind of a thing in an on-premise is quite difficult, as you know that you have to take up your server space, and to take it in a cloud-based solution and to get an unlimited in this methodology is also quite a boon to have for your organization. This is something which is a part of Office, so I won't touch upon this now. And data loss protection, as a part of a company's policy, several companies can have different kinds of policies in terms of how their email should go out. Those policies can be pretty much created by the administrator, and every email that goes out from the company will adhere to those policies, and we'll see that during the demo session. Switching over to the presentation now. So that was about Plan 1 and Plan 2. And just for your knowledge, there's another plan called as Kiosk. And Kiosk is, not as powerful as Plan 1 and Plan 2, but it's still available out there, with a smaller mailbox size and with not as very sophisticated protocols like MAPI or IMAP, which you may have heard of. Kiosk is using POP as a protocol, but as Microsoft understands that an organization cannot be all IT admins, cannot be all HR admins, cannot be all vice presidents, it cannot be all computer developers. It is a mix of various kind of ranks, and that's where Microsoft has positioned its services very carefully crafted, because in a company of 100 people, you will have a distribution of different kinds of designations, and you would want to empower your employees with the right kind of emailing power that they should be given. So there's no point of probably giving an Exchange Plan 2 to somebody who's probably sitting at your logistics office, or probably at the reception. The particular individual who's sitting at the reception desk probably might be just needing some calendar invites. So for them, probably Kiosk is good, and for your vice presidents and HODs, maybe Plan 2 is good. For the rest of the employees, Plan 1 is good. So it gives you a very optimized, completely customized way to approach your mailing solution for your company. And this is a page which shows the different Microsoft offerings in which Exchange Online is available. So with Office 365, it's divided into Business Essential, Business Premium, Education, Enterprise E1, E3, E5, and Enterprise K1, which is the kiosk. So these are the different places other than buying it standalone. Like you can buy it standalone. When I say standalone, only Exchange Online, or you can buy it as a part of Office 365. So these are the different, and we need not go with all of these sizes. I'll be sharing this links with you just for you, for your reference. In terms of security, like I mentioned, Exchange Online Protection. Exchange Online Protection would mostly suffice for a lot of your security needs. But if you want to go a little beyond that and you want to have very, very advanced level of protection, there's another software called as Advanced Threat Protection. And all of these things are all cloud-based, so you do not install anything. You don't even have a server where you need to install anything for this kind of a thing. It's all in the cloud. You just buy the licenses and align those licenses with your users, and those users' mailbox will then be enabled with Advanced Threat Protection. So I'll just for a few minutes touch upon this link as well, because these are just two images which will definitely not give you the true picture. So this is a TechNet document library. Many of you must be familiar with TechNet documentation. But in terms of Exchange Online, see, these are the list of security features that are just inbuilt into your Exchange Online systems. So archiving mailboxes, e-discovery, in-place hold, data loss prevention, auditing reports, and in fact on the more advanced, you will have your transport rules and even voicemails. Even those things can be encrypted, and message encryption. all of these things are just completely built in. So you get a mailing solution in which you did not have to configure any of these security policies. You just set your policy. It'll give you a nice interface to set your policy. But all of this technology, all of this settings is already built in, and you just use it. So as an IT administrative standpoint, it's a tremendous advantage to have. I'll definitely share that link too. So now it's a good time to, after this small introduction, good time to go straight to an Exchange Online administrative portal, and let's have a quick demo on how this works. So in here, I'm logged into a demo Office 365 portal. Now this is an Office 365 portal with lots of features that Office 365 gives. But if one should choose to take only Exchange Online, you would see a very similar interface with only this particular icon here. And if the administrator logs in, then an additional icon, this admin icon, would be visible. So I have logged in as an administrator, and hence I'm able to see this. If your users log in, they'll probably see everything that you've enabled them to use, but not the administrative icon. So before I jump into Mail, which is just Outlook on the web, let's understand what Exchange Online can do for your users in a more straight demo kind of an environment. So from the administrative portal, you can have complete control of how your emails can come in, how your emails leave your company, which users are allowed to do what, and we'll show you some of the most commonly used features and many features that you might already know. So if you open, this is the administrative center of the entire Office 365 portal, and you would be able to see your whatever you have bought, whatever licenses here in the billing, this would be available to you. Your purchase history, the licenses you bought, your bills, your subscriptions. And in terms of users, if I go to active users, you'll be able to see that too. So like this particular demo account is a fictitious company, and you can say that these are my employees. So as you can see that these employees have a rather peculiar email address. It's saying something at domain.onmicrosoft.com. So in your environment, you can change this on Microsoft.com to your own company's domain. It's just like if you go to settings and do that, it is going to give you those MX records and TXT records, which you need to go and register with your domain register from where you bought your company's domain, and you would be having your own domain within your email addresses right here. And that's an important step to do when you would be migrating your existing mailboxes as well. So we'll discuss on that a little bit during the migration time. So that's the users. But now let's go to the admin center, where the entire control of everything happens. So here there are several admin centers because this is a full Office 365, but for Exchange it would be just this. Okay, so this is your Exchange admin center and something the company's administrator is going to be able to see. So these are categorized into different subsections, as you can see with the black and bold letters. So let's see one by one, and I won't be able to show everything, but I'll show you the very important ones, obviously, to give you a very fair idea of the power you get through this. So mailboxes. Mailboxes are simply your users that we just saw, the active users. And just from here, you can see all your users. And on this, let's say I want to disable unified messaging, and I want to disable mobile device active sync. So I do not want Mr. Alex to be having an active sync in his mobile. All you do is a click and it's done. You click here and Alex is removed from having active sync with his mobile. You want to see that Mr. Alex should not be able to open his mailbox through a web browser, let's say when he goes home. The only way he can see it is through integrating his mailbox with Outlook. So that's what you want to do with Mr. Alex. You just click here and it's done. Okay, so just to show you that like how easy it is to control, and you can do it with multiple people. Click together with pressing Control, and click on and just wait for it, and you can do this setting on multiple people at once. That's about controlling mailboxes, and you can also do a lot more if you open one individual and click on Edit. You can literally change the name and contact information, email address, mailbox features. A lot of it can be controlled by that person just here. So I hope you can immediately see that the IT admin is getting a very rich user experience to control the mailboxes. Let's talk of groups. Groups is a very common feature. Everybody knows that a lot of email addresses you want to be addressed with one single email address. So you create a group. And when you create a group, people outside from the outside world or within the company can email that group, and that email would go to every single user which is in that group. And about resources are, you want to have an email address for your conference rooms or your printers, then you can add them here. Contacts is just, the contacts that you probably are not in your company, but you want them to be in here because you want to maintain them. You add them here. But let's talk of shared mailbox, because this is something that it's of significant importance as well. So a shared mailbox is a scenario where, let's say your company has a customer support team, and you do not want the outside people to raise support tickets to individual customers, and you want to have like support.yourdomain.com. So when people write an email to that particular email address, yes, that email will be accessible to all the people who are in that shared mailbox. So if I try to create a new one right here in live in demo, let's call it support 24/7. Let's call it this, and let's call it support. So the email address will become support@this.com, and if you have other domains, then as you can see, if you have your own company domain, it would be available right here. So you can change that, and that'll be the email address. Once you do this, and you can now add users. So if you click on here, you can add the users you want to be in this particular shared mailbox. So that's easy. What's important to know is that a shared mailbox itself gets a 50 GB mailbox, but it doesn't need any extra license for you to buy. The license of the people who are in the shared mailbox is enough for the shared mailbox to run. So you just got your company an additional inbox with 50 GB of space, just because the people you put in that shared mailbox are licensed. So this shared mail itself does not need any license. And the difference between group and shared mailbox is that if a reply goes from a group, if a reply goes to the outside recipient from anybody in the group, the reply will go from that particular person. But if it's shared, the email is sent out from a shared mailbox, the reply will go from that shared mailbox's email address, not the person's email address. So that way you have a sort of encapsulation between for your company employees, contact details, etc. If you want to have that kind of a use case. In migration, this is the place from where you can initiate migration between different sources. You can, and I will talk of the different methods of migration first, and then make more sense here. So migrate to Exchange Online, migrate from Exchange Online. So from here you can do it from Exchange Online, but there's a slide which talk about how to do it from 2007 and other on-premise service. Let's go back to the Exchange Admin Center, and now let's look at protection. So there are different kinds of protection levels that you can have. So malware filter, and there could be some by default created, but you can make your own. It'll give you a very easy interface. You give it a name, and what is the malware detection response? You can set all of that. So if malware is detected in an email attachment, the message will be quarantined and can be released only by an admin. Do you want to notify recipients if their message are quarantined? So these kind of things, and what are the file types that you think should be a part of it, and your notifications. In terms of spam filter, all of this spam filter, outbound spam, these are being made available because of that Exchange Online protection that I mentioned earlier. And these are about incoming emails, but most of you may be knowing about this DKIM certification. So you can enable DKIM security certificates to your emails and your email signatures directly from here. And the advanced threat protection, it comes here. These advanced threat protections are so sophisticated that they can even virus scan your attachments which are in the email. In terms of, let's talk of mail flow rules for all the people who have been using 2007. I'm sure that many rules you must have created within your company's environment. So let's see how easy it is to look into and touch upon. We'll touch upon a few rules here. Let me just create a fresh rule right here because it wouldn't take much time. Let's say I'll create a rule and I'll show you just one and give you an idea how much you can do here. I'll call it new rule or demo. This is the name. See how easy it is. The rule, let's say the sender is, and the sender will give you a list. Let's say I want it on Belinda Newman, and I on Bonnie as well, and I say okay. So if the sender is any of these two, you have these many options. If an email is sent from these two, you can forward the message to, you can do all of the delete the message without notifying, or what is more interesting is you can BCC the message to. So let's say if any email is sent from those two human beings, that will automatically be sent as a BCC to this person, and this will happen without even the notice of these two people. And or you can have a policy tip, or you can have without a policy tip, and more options are, let's say you want to have that for a certain amount of time only. I can imagine a scenario where you have a set of interns working in a company, and they would be gone in a couple of months. So for that time, you want some rules for them. It sounds like a very good use case where you can do this kind of rules. But that's not enough. If you see the sender is, there are other options here. Something like the subject or the body. The subject or the body. The subject or the body includes any of these words. So if anybody just happens to write a particular word here, maybe the name of the CEO or something, like let's call like Jason. It just has the word Jason in the word or something. Just by this word alone, you can add more. Just by adding this word alone, you can have a complete rule set for you can enforce it and do the same things. The rest of it remains the same. But just showing you the level of capability you have as an admin, where you can even control the very words that are written. And if you do not want words, you can have text patterns like using regular expressions. So you can obviously explore these things a lot. For this demo, I will restrict to this, but that's about the rule. And you can completely restrict whitelist and blacklist domains. So let's say you do not want a certain domain to contact you at all, or you want to have 5 or 6 domains or even 10 domains to which you want to communicate with only. Then you can do that here. Message trace is a very important feature. So for people who are using Exchange Online, to trace a particular email from its starting to its end, you might sometimes have to look into the email logs, all the way from its origin to its destination, the different servers it has bounced out of and where it went, what happened. And finally, after some amount of effort, you might be able to look through the logs and find out an email as to what happened to it. Well, here you have a nice graphical user interface to do this. Just select the start date, end date, delivery status. What if somebody says that I did not receive an email, but the email was sent out, then you can easily trace it. And once you give all of the settings and you say that let's say it was sent by somebody, you add a sender and the recipient. It was supposed to go to somebody, so you add the recipient. And once you enter all of this data and you say search, you will be given a very well formatted CSV file to download to find out every single message that has traversed through the network. So gives you a very powerful tool to do this kind of message trace, which on an otherwise you might have to look into the email logs, hundreds and thousands of logs to find it out. So it's giving you a search capability. And okay, what else? A few more things that are we should easily see. In terms of mobile devices, now I do not have a mobile device configured here, but if you have a mobile device configured, then you can set rules to what kind of accessibility a mobile owner who's configured this Exchange mailbox to their mobile device can or cannot do. So that kind of things can be done. You can create these policies here. So if an administrator creates a policy here by clicking on this plus, then every employee who is registering to this any email address from this service will have to adhere to those policies. You can have like require an alphanumeric password, allow simple passwords, all of these things. So every company will have a different policy for how their employees should use their mobile devices for corporate email addresses. You can control it from here. So, I think that with time restricted, as you can already see that I've only showed you 5 or 6 of these different things, but you have so many more things that I have not showed. but I hope it gives you some idea of what you can do with Exchange Online. And for people who are already familiar with what Exchange can do as an administrative perspective, you can already see that from that perspective, you can do almost everything that you were able to do on premise, but in fact, you can do more here. And you can also set policies on entire groups of email addresses in one shot. It need not be like one email address at a time. Retention policies and retention tax is something that an administrator should also see. So when you create a retention policy will say it like, let's say you want that after 1 year, all your employees' email addresses should automatically move to the archive, or should be automatically deleted, or should be automatically backed up, something like that. So let's say I give a name as company policy, company archive policy, and I click on add. So let's create a policy and see. So what is the policy you want to create? It's a 1 month delete, 1 week delete, 6 months delete, never delete, inbox by default, or a sales report. So let's say I want to create something like a 1 year delete or a 5 year delete. And when I do that, I would like to add a 5 year delete here. Click OK. It's going to give you the retention period is 1825 days and all of this. And you click OK. So once you save this, you will have it in a way, it'll be here. Now when you go to the retention tags, you can apply these policies using those tags to a certain number of people. Like just now I created this, it came here. So as an administrative point of view, you can create these things here and apply it to a certain level of certain group of people, so that your archiving policies are maintained centrally from an administrative point of view. So you can apply it to the entire mailbox. You can do it only to the default folder, and I have not explored this one, but definitely you get the idea. So as an administrator, this is the place where the administrator controls everything. Now let's understand what happens when somebody leaves your company. If anybody leaves your company, what you do as an administrator is that there are several things you can do. But what happens is that the license that you had purchased for that user, that license is retained by the company. So when any new employee comes, you can just give that license to that particular user, and this user now just has his own mailbox with a different email address, empty mailbox, but you need not buy any more license for a new user, So your licenses are completely reusable. What is not reusable is that for the person who left the company, as an administrator, you might want to retain his mailbox. You have a choice. Or as an administrator, you might want to take a offline backup of all his mails in a form of a PST. You can download the PST and keep it for safekeeping. And when the new employee joins, you can probably configure the PST in that new employee's Outlook and have him see those emails if it's required. Or you can just forget about it and have the new employee use the same license the old employee was using. So financially, you get a tremendous advantage, because let's say you bought 50 licenses. Now you're flexible. And after 3 months, maybe you had 10 more people join your company. You just need to buy 10 more licenses, or let's say you want to remove 15 employees. So when you remove, you have already paid for that license, right? Let's say you bought 50 licenses earlier. When you remove those 15 people, it's not like you need to do something with your pricing now. You had already paid. It's a monthly payment model. And whenever you want to bring in more employees, you can still use those now free 15 licenses. So it gives you a huge advantage in terms of manageability and financial things. And with all of these capabilities, just to think of the fact that there is no need to manage any server in your end, no need to maintain electricity, no need to keep upgrading the server, no need to think of how many CALs I need to buy, how many device CALs, user CALs, what is the license, is my mailbox completely protected from malware attack, is it protected from virus attack? None of these concerns are anymore with you. You get an enterprise grade Microsoft protected mailbox, and you can just start using it, so that's the advantage you get. Going back to the presentation just to see what we have next. So let's now talk about migration. So now let's say that you would want to explore this. So what are the different ways of migrating? So you need to do some setup. you have your calendars and everything on your on-premise, and you need to give it a cloud presence. So this particular link shows you the different ways in which we can migrate. So I just, instead of putting it in a presentation, I just thought it's worthwhile to go to the link directly. So your organization, and as you can see, this applies to Office 365 admin, Office 365 small business admin. So when they say Office 365, it's pretty much Exchange, because Exchange comes with Office 365. So what are the ways? So there's a nice video here, which obviously I cannot play the audio of this video through this presentation because this presentation's audio is being taken up by my microphone. But these are the ways. So migrate mailboxes from Exchange server. So for migrations from an existing on-premise Exchange server environment, an administrator can migrate all email, calendar, and contacts from the user mailbox to Office 365. There are 3 types of email migrations that can be made for Exchange server. So in your situation, so see, we have 3 types. So one is called as cutover migration. So migrate all my mailboxes at once, or an express migration. So this is the scenario. Use this type of migration if you're running Exchange 2003, 2007, 10, or 13. And if there are fewer than 2,000 mailboxes. So if you fall under this category, then this is the method you should use. You can perform cutover migration by starting from the Exchange Admin Center, which I just showed. Or there are different migration tools that you can use. And it is always advisable that when you are doing migration, one of our partners who has experience in migration should be leveraged for this, because migration is not just as simple as a few clicks. There are several different aspects to see to it. There is another way called a staged migration. It is actually the same scenario as the above, but here you have more than 2,000 mailboxes. So it is always in this kind of a scenario, we generally break it up into different scenarios. Migrating using integrated Exchange server and Office 365. So use this type of migration to maintain both on-premise and online mailboxes. So in many situations we have seen that people want to use a bit of both. They want to have half their employees use the on-premise and maybe half use online for different reasons. So that is totally implemented using different techniques. Those techniques are far too elaborate to cover in this particular environment, this particular demo. But I just wanted to give you that understanding that it's totally doable. So you have Exchange 2010 with more than 150 to 2,000 mailboxes. You have Exchange 2010 and want to migrate mailboxes in small batches over time. You have Exchange 2013. So these are the scenarios. And although the documentations are friendly, I would still say that our Microsoft partners are very well equipped to do this kind of migration for you. And it's a very common thing. Thousands over thousands of people are migrating from their on-premise setup, or even a non-Microsoft on-premise setup, to Office 365. Let's talk of a few more options. Use Office 365 import service to migrate PST files. So for an on-premise setup, we are familiar with PST files. So it's fairly easy to migrate your PST files to your Office 365. Let's take a simple example here. Let's say there are 10 users in the on-premise server, users A, B, C, D, E, F, G, up to J, 10 users. Now you want to bring their mailboxes to the online version, Exchange Online or Office 365. So what we typically do is we create 10 users and we create 10 online users first. And these users, as of now, they don't have any mailboxes. They're just users we've made with some name at companydomain.com. And we give them the Exchange licenses so that they have a necessary mailbox. After that, there is a way in which you can map which on-premise user has to go to which online user. We can map it. Once that mapping is done, that is done through a CSV file. Once that CSV file is mapped, that which on-premise user has to go to which online user, we upload that CSV file into these tools, and we do the necessary migration. Now you might wonder how much time it takes to migrate. Now the time is completely dependent on the size of the mailbox. It's impossible to say how much time it takes, but you can do it. And let's just quickly have a read. So you can use Office 365 import service either to upload PST files through a network, or to mail the PST files in a drive that you prepare. So you can do either, but people generally go with the internet way. But if you have a very large file, you can in fact mail it. So again, this is a scenario that our partners are very accustomed on doing this. Another very important way is the IMAP enabled migration, because if you want to bring your mailboxes from something which is not Exchange, let's say something like Gmail, then we have IMAP migration. And with IMAP migration, it's also completely possible. It's done straight from the Office 365 portal. So you can use IMAP to migrate user email from Gmail, Exchange, Outlook, and other mailing systems that support IMAP. When you migrate the user's email by IMAP migration, only the items in the user's inbox and other mail folders are migrated. So that's just an exception that we need to know, that if it's an IMAP migration, your calendar invites and all your calendar bookings and all of those things would not be migrated. In an IMAP migration, the things that are migrated are typically the content in the mailbox, inbox, and for any other folder. But otherwise, if you want to go for on-premise Exchange migration to an online migration, then you can migrate calendars and contacts and everything. So that's how we migrate. And this presentation would not be enough, because in order to show a demo on migration, we would need to have a completely different setup with an on-premise server on board, with people with users added there, and have users here. So for that, as I mentioned, our gold partners are equipped and help with that. Now, to come to a very important aspect of this presentation, is obviously just to give you an understanding of pricing. Now, Exchange Online Plan 1, Plan 2, these are pricings that are straight away available in the online website, with different kinds of, with different licensing plans. You might have these prices vary. They can go down, they can go up. This is officially right now in the website of Microsoft as of today morning. But I just wanted to give you a perspective here. If you look at that additional box I've added on the right, and these prices are not accurate, but they're fairly accurate. So just think about it. Exchange Server Standard, not even Enterprise. Standard is 40,000. Each device that will touch upon that server, 3,500, and each user, 4,600. And if you have around 100 users, then you easily can see that you have to add 2 more zeros behind the cals. So if we consider that this is the expenditure for having an on-premise setup, and I'm talking of 2016 now. Okay, this is the price of 2016 standard. But when we think of this as the price of an on-premise setup, we should not forget the fact that we are the very hardware on it was going to go and sit. So that hardware itself would cost a lot, right? The very CPU that is capable of having the necessary core and RAM configuration to harbor an Exchange 2016. First, buy that, maintain that. Probably a server's configuration that was compatible for 2007 may not suffice for 2016. It may not, but there's a chance it would not. And after all the cals and all the device cals, user cals, and the license, we also have to consider the operating system on which the Exchange is going to be installed. So the operating system itself has its own price. It itself has its own set of cals to buy. So after you buy the physical hardware, then you buy the operating system and its cals, then you buy Exchange Server and its cals, and then you have a fully working Exchange Server in your end, where you have to manage both the hardware and the Exchange Server to see it's working the way it works. All of that expenditure, upfront expenditure, because this is upfront, right? You have to do that capital expenditure to get that Exchange Server. Now, with that analogy, think of Exchange Online. 265 rupees per user per month, and you get a fully managed Exchange Server that can do everything that Exchange Server can do, with threat protections that are of Microsoft grade, that Microsoft itself uses to protect its emails. You get that kind of a service straight out of the box without ever having to have any server in your office at all. So that's what I wanted to touch upon as well, because this clearly shows the significant advantage that you get when you move to Exchange Online, both in terms of price and in terms of those few things in the demo that I showed a little while ago. Just wanted to go to the official page as well, just to show you the different features. We already touched upon this page a little while ago. So again, the same page here. So this is about the pricing. So in terms of 2007, for 2007 users, we know what 2007 can and cannot do. And 2007 has its own problems, because these days when our ransomware attacks are becoming just the next thing we hear every single day. And let's forget about the ransomware attacks for a while. Let's just think that any kind of attack, like a DDoS attack or any kind of popular virus hacking attacks, how do we keep our systems away from these attacks or protected from these attacks? If we have our own infrastructure, the way we protect our infrastructure from such kind of attacks is that we keep updating the antivirus and the firewall, which is capable of the ever developing viruses and malwares, because viruses and malwares are not in the old 2007 or 2010 or even 2013 era. These viruses and malwares are as updated as today. These hackers are updating them by the hour every day. So in order to keep up with them, our defense mechanism also needs to be something of today. And if we sit there and think that no, our servers cannot be attacked by malware, that's a wrong thing to think, because anyone's servers can be attacked through malware. So in order to have a system which updates itself and keeps itself ready with the modern threats that are happening, as well as gives you all the required policies, like in terms of being compliant, in terms of being that your emails are compliant with the national laws and the international laws of emailing, and to ensure that your email don't end up in someone else's spam. All that setting, if you want to do on-premise, in today's world, when world is cloud ready, it's going to be very difficult. So that's where Exchange Online comes and positions itself to be the perfect solution to take at this juncture of technology. So yeah, we can now go to the question answers. I'll just quickly go to Skype and we can take the question answers now. Anything that we can address now.
Thank you so much for the presentation, Mr. Swarnadeep.
Yeah, thanks, Jasmine.
We do already have a question from Mr. Arun. The question is, can we set maximum mail size send and receive?
Yes, you can. You can do it through the Exchange mailbox setting. You can set the maximum. Let's say you want to restrict a user to not have 50 GB mailbox. You want to have a 5 GB mailbox. You can do that. And you can also restrict the size of his individual emails. You can do that. There are documentations which we can share with which you can do that.
Okay. And we have another question from another viewer. It's from Mr. Vasanta Kumar. And Mr. Vasanta Kumar wants to know, can we migrate Exchange 10 to Outlook 365? How easily transfer old to new technology?
Okay, so yes, of course you can migrate 2010 mailboxes to Office 365, but I just wanted to just sort of retweak that question. So there's nothing called as Outlook 365. Outlook is just a client. Office 365 gives you an opportunity to download the Outlook software, which is the latest one. And once the migration happens, the migration will not happen on Outlook. Outlook is just a wrapper. It's just a software which reads emails. The migration will happen from on-premise 2010 to Exchange server, which is on-premise. And yes, of course, it's possible. Like in the documentation, we saw the cutover migration. Cutover migration is the method through which we can migrate 2003, 7, 10, and 13 to the online version.
Okay. And the next question is from Mr. Kumaravel. He wants to know, if we want, can we download as a .pst?
Yes, you can download any, let's say you have users who are right now using Exchange Online. Every single mailbox in Exchange Online can be downloaded as a PST and kept on-premise if required, or rather kept in a single file server in the on-premise network. That's totally doable.
Okay. And one more question is from Mr. Srini. Can we enable DLP in Exchange Online? He wants to know about that.
Yeah. Absolutely. I just touched upon DLP in the demo, but I can just go and show it to you again. So in the protection here, you will where is it? Data loss protection, compliance and management. So you can have your DLP settings straight from the admin center. You can create a DLP policy. So when you do data loss prevention, the data loss prevention actually comes with predefined templates, which are industry-wide known templates. A typical example would be like a medical institute or an organization, a healthcare organization, needs to adhere to certain emailing policies for their emailing. So those kind of policies are already pre-built in Exchange Online. But if one wants to make a completely customized data loss prevention policy, that is also doable, but that needs a little bit of additional effort to create. But out of the box, data loss prevention comes with a lot of predefined policies which you can enable. Like you see, these policies are already inbuilt.
The next question is from Mr. Balaji, and Mr. Balaji wants to know how long will it take to migrate from on-prem to Exchange Online?
Yeah, so it will take. See, if each mailbox is really large and there are thousands of mailboxes, then it could take a lot of time. The time will totally depend on the bandwidth speed, how much upload speed that company's IT infrastructure is having, and the size of the mailbox. But in our experience, we have seen anything between 4 to 5 hours to 2 weeks also. Okay, so that's the range that we have seen in our experience with various customers.
And one more question from the same customer. It's from Mr. Kumaravil. How about a ransomware?
Yeah, so a ransomware kind of a thing will probably come and place itself in your infrastructure and block your infrastructure. That's how it would work, right? It would come into your server, and when you open your applications, when the application opens, instead of that application opening, you would see a ransomware message. But when you go to Exchange Online, that Exchange server that you actually had is inside Microsoft Azure, and it's protected by Microsoft. So we really don't have to worry about ransomware if we go to Exchange Online, because Microsoft Azure is the most secure cloud data center in the world today. So that's not something that we should worry about if we take Exchange Online.
Then Arun has raised a question. Any migration compatibility checks sheets?
The documentation that I showed you online, that particular link has several more follow-up links that will have this kind of information. I'm going to share that all those links with you, so that you all can refer those links and go through the migration. There are several online video libraries. There are several documentations that will help you to go through that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Any more questions from the viewers, so that you can post in the chat box? We can discuss now. Yeah, we have. I guess this would be the last one. Can we connect with Outlook? They have asked, can we connect with Outlook?
Absolutely, absolutely. Your while the email box actually is in the cloud and not in your on-premise, those mailboxes are compatible with even older versions of Outlook. It's totally compatible.
Okay, thank you. As of now, there is no question. So that's all from your end?
Yeah, I mean, that's all. And Jasmine, if you can loop me into an email for these few important links that I showed in the presentation and all the documentations available in the Microsoft library for migration, I will share it with you. You can share it with all the customers. And again, migration is a very, very important step that is required to be done. And even without the documentations, I just want the customers to feel comfortable with the fact that there are several very, very sophisticated third-party applications as well, which are very efficient in doing migration. So migration should not be a challenge.
Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation. And we have come to the end of the session. Once again, I would like to thank Mr. Swarnadeep for the wonderful presentation. And I truly thank all the participants for being part of this session. Hope you all enjoyed the session. And viewers, please keep in mind that any other questions you have, please feel free to reach us. We'll be happy to take them and answer your questions. And kindly make note of our contact details, which is displayed on your screen. And our email ID is it's a marketing@4dtech.co.in. As always, we hope to do business with you. Goodbye. Take care.